Welcome back. Yeah, I think you're right. Going home to what we saw isn't the best idea. We're going to have to trust that Farley was right, and whatever is going to happen naturally will be a better thing. So let's just disconnect this battery and hope for the best. Close this so hopefully CW won't notice what we've done. If only we could tell him. Make things a lot easier. But I don't think we can. Let's try anyway. Nope. He's as useless as always. Fine, I won't tell you. You'll just figure out by yourself that what you're planning to do won't work, because your battery's not hooked up. We'll just have to hope that Farley is right. If she's right and the collector seats saved each of the people they collected, I guess, and the maybe even the town itself was saved. Maybe there is some grander purpose, and this entire system with the trees will save us again once it reaches fruition. Maybe it'll let us get to the outside, maybe we'll go somewhere else, I don't know. However, has to be better than going back to the wasteland that Earth is now. We can only hope, I guess. It is pretty easy to miss that you can even do this. Because by the time you get here, yeah, even though CW basically tells you that you need to plug in the battery every time you see him, it's very easy to not remember by the time you get to this point that unplugging it would be an option. And even though those sentences are highlighted in the journals that the battery plan might not be a good idea, you may not remember and therefore get the other ending first. Definitely happened to me. I don't think CW really, I mean, he's not wrong. He's just doesn't have all the information and we can't give it to him. Unfortunately. But we do have more information. We know everybody survived. We know Earth is a wasteland. So we can only hope that what happens when I press this will be a good thing. Let's hope we don't need the train yard anymore. Oh, hi there.
Real good, not much left. Just waiting for all the natural way of things to happen now.
Guess we're waiting for everything to charge.
Folks left behind, but I reckon they've passed.
Oh, that's the shadow I was seeing.
Real well, Carson legs. You can see how useful these tracks is to me.
Those people have not passed, by the way.
Not sure what's getting into them crazy Capitar critters, but they ain't unplugging my battery. We're going home, not wherever. Alright now, I'll power up my override. When the time comes, it works a lot like them little swappers. It'll swap us home. You didn't spend much time here, and that ain't a bad thing. But there were some fine folk. Some real fine folk.
They're still alive. guess we do have the best seat in the house. Things seem to be progressing nicely. That doesn't look like hell to me. Wait, what's happening? It's Murray.
Wait, I'll be Farley. She got it
Soria. What was left of it.
right. She got it right.
And that must be Captar. Everybody's here.
CW. Cecil.
Caroline. Caroline.
This is so incredible.
Dear Lord. You made it. How many others?
We all made it. I'm heading your way. Stay where you are.
I ain't going nowhere.
This is amazing. Everybody made it. Everybody survived. And it looks like we've got a beautiful new home to share with the Verlaine and the Eri. Not the Mofang, unfortunately. A new beginning for all of us. Farley got it right. And that takes us to the end of Obduction. It turns out that we can't go home again after all, but at least it seems we're safe for now. The Mofang have been stopped and all the survivors were safely brought to this new world where they can hopefully prosper. They'll have a better chance here than on what's left of Earth, it would seem. There's an interesting parallel here with Mist, which several times sought to remind us that returning to Dunny was not the answer, but that we had to move forward, which for example resulted in Atris writing Relishon. This theme of looking forward rather than attempting to return to the past seems to be something that Cyan is fond of. Not that I can fault CW for trying, however. He had no way of knowing the condition that Earth was in, and believed all his friends had died when no one returned. He didn't know about the stalemate on Murray, after all. While Farley's reasoning that everyone who was abducted was saved in some way is reasonable, and it's not a huge leap to assume that that also applied to the town itself, there's no actual proof of that until we get a glimpse of Arizona. Up until that point, I was kind of on CW's side, to be honest. Too bad we can't simply tell CW what we saw, but such is the fate of the silent protagonist. It does make me wonder why, if they knew that the world outside of the Hunref cell was Soria, they never attempted to get a glimpse of Earth from the Mofang cell themselves. Presumably the Mofang prevented them from seeing this somehow, though I don't exactly know why. Of course, there are still many unanswered questions. What is the tree and where did it come from? Is this a natural process, or, more likely in my opinion, something done deliberately by some unknown intelligence to save species about to go extinct? and bringing them in contact with other species to strengthen them. I'd love to see answers to questions like this, so I'm hoping for a sequel that will expand the lore the way Riven did for Myst. As I said in the beginning, I love this game. The attention to detail in the world building is remarkable, which really appeals to me. This game feels like the creators tried to think everything through to make the world believable. It makes me much more willing to cut them some slack on the small details, such as the garden actually being too small to feed the entire town. They get away with that because the entire game makes me believe the creators actually cared to have their world make sense, in a way that, for example, Myst 4 does not. The game is, of course, incredibly gorgeous. The graphics are stunning and the design is great, although a little more visual variety, especially in Captar and Murray, would have been welcome. I expect that's more a budget limitation than anything else, though. The sound design is equally well done, relying on ambient sounds to set the mood, and only the lightest touches of music to reinforce it, just like Myst. The premise of the game is, quite frankly, inspired. The idea of swapping is not something I've seen before, and it elevates the story above a typical alien abduction tale. It allows Cyan to do what they're known for, to have the player explore multiple worlds, without being too much like Myst. Having new people arrive via smaller swaps also gives them leeway to incorporate basically anything into the game. Anything they need to be there could be brought there by a swap. The gas station and the train yard provide perfect examples of that. Swapping also provides the main mechanic for the game's puzzles, and in combination with the dome wall teleportation, this provides some truly creative puzzles that require a lot of spatial awareness. I found the game challenging, but never so bad that I got completely stuck. They mostly do a good job of integrating the puzzles into the environment, though the whole concept of the lockdown seems flawed with an enemy that can, and indeed does, swap in behind your defenses. Maybe they were just being cautious. While the over-reliance on swapping in the later puzzles, especially in Murray, does get a bit tedious, particularly due to the load times and backtracking involved, it never felt as repetitious as, for example, the slate puzzles in Myst 5. Fortunately, the load times weren't too bad on my PC, and since I managed to solve the maze relatively quickly, it wasn't too big of a deal for me. I do regret they weren't able to do anything more interesting with the number system, or have a more elegant way of teaching it to you. The story does feel a bit rushed at the end. Some of the events on Murray don't make perfect sense. For example, why was everybody chambered there anyway, especially since the margin of error for the swap-in location was the biggest for Murray? It seems like that would be more risky than spreading everybody across the worlds. The game also doesn't do a great job of telling its story at times. Environmental storytelling is great, but a little more clarity on what was actually happening in Murray without the player needing to read the exploration guide would have been nice. The same is true for the final puzzle. You have to put a lot of separate pieces of information together to realize that you have to disconnect the battery, a lot of which is easy to overlook, especially on a first playthrough. And you have to remember, you can even do that by the time you get there. Most people, myself included, will probably get the bad ending first. Fortunately, the bad ending does hint strongly at what you're supposed to do to get the good one, so at least you can go back and fix your mistake. And of course, the game had to end with a brand new world that we can't explore. Why do you keep doing this to us? Despite these minor issues, I absolutely loved this game. It kept me engaged from start to finish, and when I did finish it, it made me want to play again to get a better understanding of what happened. It does what Cyan does best, give you a strange, breathtaking world to explore and a mystery to solve. While definitely not on the level of Riven, I was not disappointed with this game in the slightest. If you haven't had the chance to play it yet, and have a PC that can handle it, I strongly encourage you to go and get it, and tell your friends. This game deserves to do well, so Cyan will be able to give us more. Whether a sequel to Obduction or another brand new game, I'm certain they'll be able to delight us again. One last thing, just like with Dreamfall Chapters, my name is in the credits, because I backed the Kickstarter. Check the description for the time at which you can find it. Thanks for watching!